which includes liver, pituitary gland, male and female reproductive systems, thyroid? No, parathyroid.
Yeah. I think the parathyroid was last.
Is that not this one? Do we look at the thyroid? Is that this one or the last one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you do the
The adrenal gland.
Adrenal gland?
Could you do that? And the
Well, all right. Since nobody wants to tell me what they want to look at, I'll just.
could you do the pituitary gland?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Well, maybe. Somebody been sorting these?
I sorted them a little bit there, or I put all the ones that were on the male reproductive or female reproductive system together whenever the day after we did the male one. So. But I didn't touch them since then.
All right, let's see. Pituitary gland. All right. Got a couple of different choices. Which one we can look at? Here's one. All right, remember there's basically 4 parts to it, right? If you really want to get simplistic, there's 2 parts to it, right? So there's the nervous part and the epithelial part, right? Remember what it's derived from, right? One part's derived from the brain, one part's derived from the oral ectoderm, the skin of the mouth, right? So one is like epithelial in nature, one is nervous in nature, right? So we can see on this slide 2 different sets of tissue, right? You can see 2 distinct kinds of tissue on this slide, right? Everybody see that? You got this one which looks one way, and then that one over there which looks a different way, right? So which one looks nervous to you?
On the right.
That looks like nervous tissue, right? So this is the nervous part of the pituitary gland, right? And this is the other one. Now, the nervous part is only really one section of it, right? You've got this part which is called the neural hypophysis or the posterior pituitary gland, right? And part of the stalk or the infundibulum, right? And then the epithelial part of it has 3 parts, right? It's got the anterior pituitary gland or the adenohypophysis, right? It's got the one in between, right? What's that one called?
Pars medialis?
Pars intermedia.
Intermedia.
And then the other one, the part of it that goes up into the stalk as well, right? So you've got a nervous part and a non-nervous part that's in the stalk or the infundibulum of it, right? So that's kind of the general areas you have, right? So the nervous part, the adenohypophysis is very simplistic, right? There's just a couple things in it, right? You've got the nerve fiber looking things, right? these look fiber looking wispy things that you can see, right? And then you got the cells, right? And that's it. Two things, basically. You got the cells, which you can see the cells. Everybody can see the cells, I hope. Everybody can see the cells, I hope, right? They're pretty blatant, right? There's lots of them. Here's one, there's one, right? They're all over the place. And then you got the fibers, right? That's it for the neural hypothesis, not much to it. The anterior pituitary gland, on the other hand, the adeno hypothesis, right, has how many different types of cells in it? No? It's got 3 types of cells, right? It's got, first you divide it into the ones that stain and the ones that don't stain, right? Which is called the chromophobes and the chromophils, right? Chromo meaning color, phil meaning to like, right? Phobe meaning to hate. And then the chromophils are 2 types, right? You got the red ones and the purple ones, right? All right, so let's zoom in on those and take a look at them. All right, that's not a bad little view of it there. You can see there's obviously 2 different shades of colors, right? So what are we looking at, right? Well, we got this one, right? Obviously, right? That's one of the 3, obviously, right? Has to be. Then we've got like this one. So here's a good distinction, right? You got this one and that one. Obviously different staining intensities, right? Different colors. So which one's the purple one?
The darker one.
Basophil.
Probably the darker one, right?
Yeah.
This is the red one, right? And then you've got the ones that don't stain very well, right? Where's an example of that? Well, here's one here, right? Here's one here. Here's one here. And they don't stain very well, right? Those are the ones that are the chromophobes, right? They don't like to stain. So 3 types. No problem, right? The problem is trying to figure out where you are, right? Making sure you know, because if you're looking at it at this magnification, you couldn't tell, right? With no reference, it's hard to tell what that is, right?
What's that one that's shaped like a triangle?
So when I put it up there on the test, right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start at low power, kind of go around and show you the structure. For example, let me show you. I'll start at this power, and I'll kind of go around and show you the structure, right? And you can see that, you know, you go to the nervous part, then the middle part, then the anterior part, and hopefully that'll give you some idea what you're talking about, right? Now, if you want to go to the pars intermedia, what did I say about that? You have to get just the right section of it so you can actually see it, right? And sometimes you will and sometimes you won't, right? And then the other thing that gives it away is this thing, right? Which is what? That's your infundibulum, or your stalk, right? That it hangs down from the brain, right? And you can see here, if you look at it, so here's the stalk, right? And you can see here, you can see the 2 parts of it, right? You can see this is the nervous part and this is the non-nervous part of it, right? Anything else on that? Not too bad, right? The big part is trying to figure out where you are, right? What
So,
organ it is.
what's
Once
the-
you know what organ it is, it's not bad, right?
What's the difference?
Let me go to a different slide though. This is a very different stain. Let me show you this one.
What's the difference between the pars tuberalis and the infundibulum?
All right, so this one, look at this stain. This one's very different, right? So how's this one look? Is that better or worse? You like this one? Don't like this one?
It's kind of bright.
Much harder to see what's going on, right? This is what's called a VLS stain. What makes it interesting is that bright blue you're looking at there, that's connective tissue. So things like the connective tissue that surrounds the organ, the connective tissue that lines blood vessels, the connective tissue, whatever, right? That's what you're seeing in that VLS stain. But what you don't see very well is this. So, can you tell the difference between the anterior and the posterior pituitary gland here? You know which one's which. This is the nervous one, which still looks about the same as it did before, not much different, right? But then the anterior pituitary gland looks much different, right? That doesn't look anything like the last one we looked at, right? So it makes it a lot harder. Would you be able to tell the difference between the different staining methods here? Let me show you a little closer in. That's as high as I can go.
I mean, I see like two, I see dark red and then like a lightish, purplish, reddish.
It's harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one thing this one shows real well is the chromophobes.
Yeah.
Chromophobes are easy to spot on this one. How about this one? Is that a nice chromophobe there? Got a nucleus and nothing else, right? How about this guy? Which color is that compared to, say, this one? Not quite as good, right? Would you like me to get really outside the bubble? How about this one? This is a pituitary gland as well. Tell me what you think of this one. What do you think?
I don't know.
A lot of blue.
So do you even know what you're looking at? You have any idea what that is?
Is that the anterior?
That's part of the hypothalamus. That's the brain.
Oh. Oh, okay.
This is your stalk. See it? Here and there, the two parts of the stalk, the infundibulum, right? And then down here, you've got your two parts of the pituitary gland, right?
Oh.
You got that part over there and this part over here. And this slide is really good because it shows you this, which is what? That's the pars intermedia, right? So is this anterior or posterior or adeno or, right? What is it? Is this the anterior or posterior?
Anterior?
Anterior. So I mean, this is the posterior, right? This is the nervous tissue over here, right? This is the intermedia, this is the anterior one, right? So let's see how the cells look here when we look at the anterior one. So let's look at these cells in here and see what they look like. And would you be able to tell what they look like? Well, what do you think?
I don't know. Are the really dark ones the basophils?
So first things first, this is the blood vessel. These are blood cells, right? You understand that, right? I hope, right?
Yeah.
This is a blood vessel over here as well. So these things are your cells, right? So there should be three of them, right? There should be the ones that don't stain, the ones that are purple, and the ones that are red, right? So which one is this?
The basophil?
That's probably the purple one, right? So that means what is this then?
Cytophil?
Compared to what is this?
That'd be red.
That'd be red, right? This is purple, that makes this a
Chromophobe?
chromophobe, right?
Oh.
much different, right? So this is where looking at color can mess you up, right? Structure is always the preferred thing to look for. We're listening to people do presentations on all these different staining mechanisms that are special stains for special things, right? But in generality, what's the most common stain? H&E. 90% of the slides out there are H&E slides. Why? Because everybody knows what it looks like, right? The colors are all standard. You know what you're gonna get, right? When you have a special stain, you could have some of these cells that are normally in an H&E would be purple and then like show up green or something. You never know what you're gonna get with weird stains, right? Because all these stains are special for looking for one thing usually. If you haven't noticed that so far, that's what all these special stains are. They're designed to do one thing and one thing only. All right. I'm off the track now. What's up? What's next? What do you want to look at?
So is the pars tuberalis and the infundibulum, are those the same thing?
So the pars tuberalis is the part of the anterior pituitary gland that goes up into the stalk there.
Oh, okay. But the infundibulum just refers to the stalk in general.
The stalk is both parts, right? It's got the nervous part and the epithelial part. What did you say?
I said, what part of the brain was that? Was that the cerebrum or was that the different area that we were just in?
The hypo.
Like what were we just looking
The
at?
brain part?
Yeah, what part of the brain were we just in?
The hypothalamic region, right? Of this part, which is what?
Not the cerebrum, right?
Yeah, it is cerebrum.
No,
You were
the
right.
cerebrum? Oh,
Cerebrum, right? Cerebellum's back here, right?
Okay.
Remember cerebellum, tree of life, right?
Okay.
I always think antebellum. You know what antebellum means? It's like a southern thing, right? Tree of life, trees in the south. I don't know why I think it that way, but that's what I do. I always think, when I think of the South, I think, like the big plantation mansions with the big weeping willow trees on them, right? I don't know. Just the way I link it. All right, what else you want to look at?
Could we do the liver? Or not
The liver?
Not the liver, the adrenal gland, sorry.
The adrenal gland? I saw adrenal gland slide here somewhere. Where did I see it? Thought I saw adrenal gland here somewhere. Thyroid, that's not the adrenal gland. I know it was on a slide somewhere. There's thyroid, thymus, parathyroid, everything in the world but, oh, there we are. How about this one? Adrenal gland. All right, this is my lowest power. The thing to remember about the adrenal gland, it's got a nice thick capsule on it. So when you see the capsule, it's one of the, how many things we look at in this section that have a big capsule on it? Not a whole heck of a lot, right? The brain has a capsule, but we're not really looking at the brain on this slide, is that right? The testes have one, but this looks nothing like testes, right? Liver has one, but this doesn't look like liver either. Well, kind of, a little bit. You might confuse it with liver. All right. Adrenal gland has your standard organ comparison, right? You got the medulla and the cortex, right? Remember the medulla is the middle, right? This is the medulla here, this is the cortex here, and this is all this is cortex all the way around here. And it's got the big capsule around the outside, right? So first problem, make sure you know where you are, right? Make sure you know you're in the adrenal gland, right? Then the other big thing in this organ is you've got 3 subunits of the cortex, right? 3 subunits of the cortex.
Yeah.
These are the zona, right? You've got your 3 zona, right? The zona glomerulosa, glomer meaning ball, spherical, right? And that's the outermost section here, zona glomerulosa, right? The middle layer is the zona fasciculata. This is the biggest layer, right? Fascicles, strands, fiber-looking things, right? Lines, columns, all that stuff, right? That's this part, right? That middle part. And you can see it looks kind of stringy if you look at it, right? And then the middle, the innermost layer is called the what? Reticular. What's reticulated mean? Like interconnected, right? You ever heard of a reticulated python? Reticulated python is named after that pattern on its back, right? That kind of interconnected pattern that it's got. So that in what I would call an anastomosing pattern, right? Interconnected pattern, right? So 3 layers, right? A fairly small zona glomerulosa, a big zona fasciculata, and a fairly small zona reticularis, right?
And about where does the medulla start?
Medulla's right here. This weird little thing here with all the big gaps in it.
Okay.
Let me zoom in a little bit on that and I'll show you a little better. Here, there's a really nice section of the medulla there. That's a really nice section of the medulla there. And the medulla has 2 types of cells in it, right? Here's one of those types of cells, and this is the other type of cells, right? So one is bright red, the other one's purple, right? Remember what they're called?
It's the bright red ones, the chromatin.
Chromatin cells, yes. These are the chromatin cells, and these are the, aren't they chief or principal cells or something like that?
G cells.
Chief cells, I think. Pretty simple organ, really. The key, of course, is remember where you are or figuring out what you are, right? This is a really nice view of it here. Actually, this slide, if you slide down like that, if you start there and work your way down, it's not a bad section of it where you can see all the different parts of it. You've got the nice big thick capsule, you've got the zona verrumosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis, right? Glomerulosa, fasciculata, reticularis, and then the medulla down here. Pretty straightforward. What else you want to look at?
Can we look at the
You want me to quiz you? I could quiz you.
Could.
Just start throwing things up and say, what is it? The key, the way to do well on this test is to be able to recognize what you're looking at, right? So if you tell me what I want to show, what you want me to show you, then you already know what organ it is, right? But if I throw something up there and say, what organ is this? And you get good at that, then you can go, well, I know what the organ is, then I have to know what the tissues are within that organ. And it gives you that step up on everybody, right? That's what everybody seems to be missing here, is that tissue recognition that you have to figure out the rest of it, right? So if I were to throw up a slide, just, let's throw up this one. Here's a slide, right? This one's a great one, I love it. This one should scream at you what it is. It's one of those easy ones. It's like, okay, I know what that is. No?
Oh, this is the.
No, not out loud yet. Let me see what the other people know. Let me scan around a little bit, show you. So what does it look like? What do you see?
You see the weird little.
What's the key thing that's screaming at you here? What's the weird thing?
The smooth.
This thing, right? These things?
Yeah.
Those are the weird things that should be screaming at you, right? What is that? So the one thing you want to look at here is, what does this part look like? This part here. Let's look in this region. Because this has got all the stuff in it, right? So what does this kind of arrangement of tissue look like? You got all this tissue with this weird little things here. What does that look like? What kind of tissue is that?
Like a secretory
It's a gland, right?
glands, yeah.
Everybody understand that that's a gland? It's got the secretory part with the ducts, right? And then it's got the support tissue, right? It's a gland. So how many glands did we look at? Well, we looked at the pituitary gland, right? We looked at the adrenal gland. And what's the other gland we looked at?
Prostate gland.
We looked at several glands in the reproductive system. And this one is the prostate gland because of these things, right? Remember I said it was like milk of magnesia, right? That hardens up, right? That's what those are. Those are those plaques that build up in there. This hardened, very basic material that gets clogged in there and jams up the prostate gland and causes problems in many, many older males, right? What else could I ask you on this slide? So, for example, who can tell me what this is?
Nerve bundle.
No?
It's,
Anytime you see a cluster of irregularly shaped with mainly small purple cells,
Oh, it's a some kind of nodule.
lymphatic tissue, right?
Huh.
All right, prostate gland. Very good. That's what we got, right? Let's pick another one. How about this one? This one should be easy, right? This one should scream at you. What's that?
The urethra.
What is it?
The penis, I mean, yeah.
Anybody?
Is that what it is?
I can't hear you.
The penis?
Nope.
No. Oh,
Could you zoom in?
is this the
You have to talk
ovary?
louder, people.
I was
When
saying, is that
tinnitus
ovary?
is acting up. What?
Is it the ovary?
Ovary. Very good.
Oh, that makes more sense, yeah.
What gives that away? Out on the edges, right? If you zoom in out here, these give it away, right? All those weird ball-looking things on the edge, right? Which are the primordial eggs, right? Those eggs that are in stasis, waiting to be told to develop, right?
I saw something like that on the Gridley stain, so that's why it's like it looks familiar to me.
The ability to recognize these is key, I'm telling you. You will do well if you can recognize what organ you're looking at. All right, let's go with something else. How about this one? This should be an easy one, right? Everybody, all together.
Liver.
Liver. Specifically what kind?
Pig liver.
Pig liver.
Oh.
Piece of cake, right? If I were to throw a human liver up there, you'd be in trouble, right?
Why is it a lot different?
Do I have a human liver slide? Have I shown you a human liver slide?
I don't remember.
Sure, I have some here somewhere. Hold on. Well, how about this one? It's not exactly what I want, but it'll do. Let's look at this one. I hate that one, it's too small. Let's get something bigger. How's this one look?
That's the liver.
Does it look like liver?
It's different.
Hard to say, isn't it?
Is that a worm? Oh no. Probably not.
Should have some human liver around here somewhere. I think I said that last time too. All right, let's go to something else. Let's see. I think we looked at this time, right? Is this test or is this a different test? Now this one, oh, this slide could really mess you up.
That test is.
That is a horrible slide. I hate that one. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's better. Okay. That's his test, right?
I think so.
Anybody?
Thyroid.
Thyroid. That's his test, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's on slide
Yeah, it's-
9, right?
it's
This is
right
9,
before
right?
that. It's right before the male reproductive system.
I don't know if it's on this test or not. I haven't looked. I could probably look it up if I have to. I think it's on this one though.
Could you point out the parafollicular cells again?
What's that?
The parafollicular cells?
Parafollicular? Okay.
Yeah. Were they just like, were they bigger than the other ones?
So here. All right, let's look in this section. All right. So follicular cells are the ones that ring the tubules, right?
Yeah.
Those are follicular cells, right? Here's follicular cells here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ring in this tube, right? So parafollicular cells are cells that are not follicular cells, obviously, and in other places. Look at this one, fairly large cell, right? Lightly staining cytoplasm, doesn't look like a follicular cell really at all. It's bigger, right? In general, bigger. Usually got a lighter cytoplasm.
What about those ones on the top left? Are those follicular cells?
Here,
Yeah. Or-
look like it. I'm not sure.
The
That doesn't look right.
The greenish.
Talking about this?
Yeah. Or the, what are those?
I like those. Those are nice. Yeah, those are actually well stained.
Is that a parafollicular?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a bad stain at all on that one. What's that pink stuff in the middle called?
Colloid?
Colloid. Don't get that confused. What's the organ you confuse this with at a quick glance?
The mammary gland?
Probably prostate, right?
I don't know.
You would think, right? And that's about the only thing I could think of you confuse it with, right? But what doesn't it have enough of? Doesn't have enough of that connective tissue around it, right? Doesn't look really glandular to me. All right. Let's see here. What else haven't we seen? Let's see. Let's pick something different. How about this?
Is that the oviduct?
What is that?
Is that the, is it end of
The
male
oviduct?
system?
Oviduct, fallopian tube, any of that, right? It's a tube, it's a duct, you can tell that, it's a tube, right? Remember, it's got your standard layers, right? Epithelium, mucosal layer, all that stuff, right?
Different testes.
Muscularis layers, right? Serosa, so on and so forth. Lamina propria. Now let's do the tough ones, right? So what's this?
Testes?
Testes.
Testes, right? What about this one?
What's on top?
I have lines.
Epididymis, right?
Epididymis.
They're on the same slide. Testes and epididymis on the same slide. In fact, the slide's labeled epididymis, right? It's not labeled testes.
Could you show us the, like primary spermatocytes and all
I'm gonna
that.
pull up the what?
All the transition between the spermatozoa.
Ah, yeah, we can look at the spermatozoa development, yeah. Up here. All right, let's take a look. Let's see, all right. Let's pick somewhere where we can actually see what's going on. This isn't bad. I like that, okay. All right. So this is seminiferous tubules, right? That's what we're talking about, testes, right? This is a seminiferous tubule, right? So there's 5 different types of cells in here, right? What's the helper cell or the nurse cell or the big cell that we need to know?
Sertoli.
Sertoli cell, right? So where's a Sertoli cell?
Maybe that big old purple one on the outside.
What's the key about a Sertoli cell? What shape is it?
Triangular. Is that?
Big pyramidal shape, right? Pyramid shape, right? Anybody see any that looks like?
Is that kind of clear part over there one? Yeah, like right there.
So is this the nucleus?
No.
No. What is that?
A primary spermatocyte.
Primary spermatocyte, right? No.
No. Is that a?
Not a primary
Spermatogonia?
spermatocyte. Spermatogonia, right?
Oh, okay.
That's the germ cell there, right? Remember, the germ cells are always attached to the basement membrane here, the edge, right? The primary spermatocyte, that first division, that's mitotic, right,
Oh.
is going to be one step in these, right?
Okay.
Would that area be considered the outside?
This is the edge of it here.
So was
This is
that
the inside here.
that first thing was a Sertoli though?
What?
That first thing was a Sertoli cell.
This is the cytoplasm of it. You can't really see the nucleus very well.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can find a nucleus for you. It's very hard to get one where you can actually see the entire thing. Ooh, that's not bad. How about this beastie here? Can you see it? No?
Oh. Is that the nucleus?
Look how big that nucleus is. Much different consistency, right? These look very different, right? What's the difference? What's the difference between this nucleus and that nucleus?
Shape.
Look how dark it is, right? Why is it so dark? Why is this one so dark?
Because it has a lot of DNA separating
All right, let's put it a different way.
chromosomes.
What? So last Friday was a big day because what was it? What was last Friday?
Black Friday.
Black Friday. Everybody's shopping, right? Monday was called Cyber Monday, right? A lot of people shopped online, so they're going to get packages in the mail, right? What do they do for stuff they send in the packages?
They wrap them up.
Wrap it up, protect it, pack it in there, right? Make it as small as possible, right? What do we got going on here?
The chromosomes are packed up.
It's all packed up for division, right? Remember, you pack up the DNA, you wrap up the DNA so that when it divides, it's all packed up and can be transported easily to the opposite ends of the cell. So that's what you're seeing here with this dark packed nuclei, is the DNA is all chromosomes. It's all chromosomes in there, right? so it makes it darker. This one, it's all loose, so it's not very dark, right? So that's one way you can tell a Sertoli cell nucleus from a non-Sertoli cell nucleus.
Okay.
So this is a Sertoli cell here, right? So then you've got your primary spermatogonia here, your primary spermatocytes here, your secondary spermatocytes, which are these medium-sized ones here, and then your spermatogonia, which are these little things. And then, of course, the weird things that are outside of the seminiferous tubules, right? Do you want to abscond with him?
No. Just seeing where he was.
Well,
He's in here reviewing for a test. What time is it? We're almost done. We got 5 minutes.
Could
They don't want to know anyway. They don't care.
Could we look at the endometrium really quickly?
What organ is this again? You asked for it. What is it?
The uterus?
Huh?
Uterus?
Uterus. So remember, the uterus has 2 main parts, right? Got this part, which is a relatively small part, and then the other part, which is the big part, right? What are the 2 parts?
The endometrium and
Endometrium and the myometrium. Myo meaning muscle, right? The myometrium is huge, right? So this, the endometrium, stops about here, right? So I'm going to continue this way and show you the rest of the myometrium, right? At least the rest that's on this slide, right? So this is myometrium, 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 myometrium. And is that the end of it? Actually, that is the end of it. That's good. That's the entire section there. You can see that it ends distinctly there. It's not chopped off, right? So fairly big section of myometrium, right? And what kind of muscle is that again? What kind of muscle? Since it's myometrium, what kind of muscle?
Smooth.
Smooth muscle. Going in lots of different directions, right? And what's its job again? Well, obviously, all muscles can contract, right? But what's it going to contract to do? What's its goal? No?
Parturition? Is that
Sure.
what it's called?
Parturition is a scientific term. What's the generic term?
Birth?
Birth, right? All right, endometrium. It's fairly straightforward. There's only 3 things here, right? Endometrium has the lamina propria, the background tissue, right? So lamina propria, the background tissue. It's got the secretory tissue here, right? Secretory epithelium, if you will. And then it's got blood vessels, right? Blood vessels are relatively small, and usually in this area more than anywhere else.
Is that the stratum basalis? Is that where the blood vessels are?
Stratum functionalis, stratum basalis, right? Basalis is connected to myometrium.
Okay. Where's the line between those? They're not really
It's
a
in-
clear line.
Well, let's see. You want to see the distinction between the 2?
Yeah.
There's the line, right? smooth muscle, non-smooth muscle.
Oh, okay.
And what gives it away? That fibrous look, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit more red, right? Just a little bit more red, right? You agree with that?
Would this be only going over the endo and myometrium? Will we not have parametrium in that?
So the two parts of the endometrium are the stratum basalis and stratum functionalis, right?
Right.
So let me go down one level here. So take a look at this. Let's see. This is pretty nice looking. This is really nice and easy to see, right? So this is the myometrium beginning here. So this is all endometrium here, right? Notice that you see a distinct difference right about there.
Yeah.
See that? The background tissue is much darker, much more compacted here. Looser, more fibrous here, right? Functionalis, basalis, right?
Okay.
No problem. Anything last minute? Got maybe one slide to go and then I gotta go.
Could you do the ovaries again?
You wanna look at the ovary? What part of the ovary you
Unless
wanna look
someone
at?
else wants to look at something particular.
You wanna look at the parts?
Yeah, like all the different types of
So here's a nice ovary,
the
right?
cells and the corona and stuff.
Right. The Graafian egg, right? Graafian follicle.
Yeah.
Well, first let's look at the edge, right? Remember what's on the edge, right? You've got this, which is what?
The
Not a capsule, right? Doesn't have a capsule.
epithelium,
What kind of epithelium?
terminals.
Germinal epithelium, right? Then you've got the background layer here underneath it, right?
Oh, is that the tunica albuginea?
What's that?
The tunica albuginea.
I can't hear you.
The tunica albuginea. Is that what that is?
I still can't hear what he's saying.
The tunica albuginea.
Tunica albuginea, yes, very good, sorry. And then what are these things again? Primordial follicles, right?
follicles, yeah.
All that's in the cortex, right? And then this is a Graafian follicle, right? A developing or a mature egg, right? So first off, we'll start at the middle, work our way. What's this thing here?
The
You should get that one right all the time, right? This is the easy one. What's this thing right in the middle?
egg cell,
That's the egg, right? What's it? What do we call it?
Embryo.
How about ova?
ova.
Embryo is once it's fertilized, right? It's not fertilized yet, right? This is an ova. This is an egg, right? So that's the ova. Then you've got this kind of blue band around it, and then these cells that are ringing around it, right? One of them is the
Corona radiata.
corona, which means crown or halo, right? Corona what?
Radiata.
Corona radiata, radiates out, right? The other one is the cumulus oophorus, right? Completely egg bearing, right? Which one's which again?
The inner ones.
The crown one is the one on the outside of the oviporis, is inside, right?
What's the blue one?
The oviporis.
Cumulus oophorus. This one's a radiata, right? Okay. What's this here? Where the
Antrum.
fluid is?
Antrum.
Antrum, right? And then you've got your two layers on the outside, which are the what?
Theca interna and externa.
Theca, is it theca? Is theca in the egg? It's not theca, is it? Am I wrong?
That's what this says.
So there's a theca externa
Yeah.
and
Theca interna. What's the difference? Like where's the? Can you point those out?
well, let me show you, let's see if I can see it better.
Is the granular kind of, is that the internal?
So, that's not bad, all right. So what's this stuff here?
Granulosa?
That's granulosa antrums, right? That is not a theca at all, right?
Okay.
Theca means a layer, right? So there's two layers on the outside of that, right? There's this one, and you can see it ends right about there, right? And then there's this one, which is a more fibrous looking outer layer, right?
Okay.
Theca interna, theca externa.
So the one with kind of the rounder cells,
Yeah, and
interna.
more irregular in shape, and this is more connective tissue type, right?
Yeah. Okay. Could you point out where the medulla and the cortex are separated?
Well, the whole thing?
Yeah. Is it just wherever the follicles end, or?
Well,
Like-
kind of. That's,
Okay.
unfortunately, that's the best I can tell you. So, for instance, here, cortex and medulla, right? That's what you asked for?
Yeah.
So, this is obviously cortex up here, right? Obviously, this is cortex down here, right? So the question is, where does the medulla start? And if you look right here, you can see that this area here looks very different to that area, right?
Yeah.
So this background tissue looks different than that background tissue. So the simplest thing I can tell you about the medulla versus the cortex is if there's no primordial follicles in it, then assume it's medulla.
Okay.
That's what I would tell you to do. All right? Any last minute questions before I leave? So tomorrow after presentations, I'm gonna come in here, but I'm only gonna stay for maybe a half an hour tomorrow. I'm not gonna stay for a very long time because I'm gonna have to go to the city. All right, anything else?
Thank you.
I know we just kind of flew through stuff. It might have been a blur to you.